A lot of people out there, they don't feel like flying on an airplane. It's kind of like, okay, I guess if I have to. The last time it wasn't that great. Well, today on the superpilotish channel, I'm going to tell you five things that'll help you out. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name's Graham Wilson, and today in my basement, like I said, five things you're going to be learning. I think you probably know it anyways, but I'll just kind of remind you. And you can learn from my past mistakes. How's that sound? So here we go. Yep, here we go. Let's get to the five superpilotish five. I like that. Air travel tips, we'll call it, on the good old whiteboard. Here we go. Number one, have some money. Yeah, it does take money to travel, and it gets more and more expensiver and expensiver as you go along. The older you get, the more expensiver it gets. But yeah, I've done trips on my credit card and stupidly like that, no cash in my pocket. And that ended up being a problem, believe it or not. So uh, you shouldn't be taking a trip really unless you can afford it. I know that's kind of like, you know, uh, yeah, old man. But I have done that before and it's a little more stressful. So uh, there's a guy that does a bunch of I don't know, I guess like a financial show or something. He pops up in my YouTube every once in a while. This guy's name is Dave Ramsey, and I saw one of it. Like he's just this whole guy that says, "Save your money. You can't afford it. Eat beans and rice and stuff like that." But I mean, some of his advice is very good, and I wish I would have gotten that advice and reasons why the advice is good, like when I was way younger. But I probably wouldn't have listened anyways. But so he was saying that this one thing he says is that if you got like some cash, like a reserve fund, I think he says, oh, you got $1,000 or have that in the bank, even if you got debts and everything. Maybe your credit cards are all maxed out, but if you got that $1,000 cash sitting around there, then you got money you can throw at a problem and make it go away. That generally in life, if you throw enough money at a problem, it just goes away, right? But you might or might not want to throw your money at it. So I would say make sure you're taking the trip and you can actually afford the trip. And if you do, make sure you got enough money just in case something weird happens. And Dave Ramsey says that if you have enough money, then a disaster turns into an inconvenience. So there we go. Actually, I don't really like talking about airlines and disasters. We'll say a financial problem. How would he put it? I think he said like a disaster turns into an inconvenience or an emergency turns into an inconvenience. But yeah, so if you're going to do that, well, just for example, here, we reserved some, my girlfriend and I bought some airline tickets and we went to a travel agent for this, and we were getting some other stuff lined up there. So we thought we'd get the expertise of a travel agent. It really doesn't cost that much more money for that. And they kind of know a little bit more than you do, or they can save you hours and hours of Googling on the internet. If you just pay $50 or $75 or whatever the fee is for their services, travel agents can be pretty good for that. So we got these tickets and like, oh, just pay on the credit card. Declined. Okay, well, we'll whip out another one. Declined. We'll whip out another one. Declined. And it's like, okay, like I in my younger days, I could definitely see why, I'm all maxed out on my credit cards and stuff. Of course it would get declined. But I mean, I'm a responsible old man now, so the payments should go through. But it turns out that was on there. And so everything about travel, like right from getting the tickets, there's so many things that can screw up. And you got to kind of roll with it. So, and it's like, okay, I'm not worried about my credit cards and stuff not working because I know they're good and they should. So, there you go. And then that eventually all got itself worked out. But that was like the first of, the first of many, I'm sure, things that are going to pop up. Oh, that didn't work out right. But like I said, if you have money, boom, you throw some money at a problem and it goes away. So there we go. And another thing here too is the whole idea of you don't own possessions, possessions own you. So we're going to say to limit, try if you possibly can to limit your luggage. Okay. Some people just absolutely cannot travel light. Give it a try. I used to work with this one guy. He was a big backpacker. He backpacked all around the world in the 1970s. Old hippie guy, smoked a bunch of weed. But anyways, but he was saying that his thing, he was always living out of a backpack. So he always said, if you're planning a trip, you do your I forget, I was going on vacation somewhere, and he said, oh, what you do for that is you fill up your backpack with everything you think you need, then take half of it out. And it's like, that's actually pretty good. You got to travel as light as you can. And so the big thing here, if you're checking your luggage on the plane, okay, now it's out of your control. Who knows who's throwing it around or what plane they're throwing it on. I've had my luggage lost before, and that's not fun when you lose your luggage. Like, I had like everything in there, toothbrush, and just like I had everything in. I'll just throw it in there; it'll show up. No, it didn't. So, uh, yeah. So losing your luggage really sucks, but it's it can happen sometimes. So, but if you have that. If you just have your carry-on luggage, and depending on what airline you're going on, you can have like women have their purse. I guess guys have purses, and then you can get your one piece of luggage for the overhead rack, and it's got to be a certain dimensions and size and stuff like that. But the smaller, the better. And yeah, so if you limit your luggage, then that will also let's write this down here too. That'll actually kind of, I don't know. I guess lower your stress levels, because if you have less stuff, you have less stuff to worry about. But it kind of goes along with my next point here, and they always say to show up show up early for your flight. And I never really, I don't know. I haven't traveled in, I haven't traveled in years and years and years until this year, because I haven't had any money for many, many years of my life. Okay. Cheap camping trip. That's all I can afford. But yeah, so it was like, if you show up early, okay, just for an example, we came back from our vacation this year, and they said, okay, for international flights, show up 3 hours early. And we were kind of thinking like, okay, well, I think we showed up 2.5 hours early, but we weren't checking any luggage. And it's a good thing we weren't checking any bags onto the plane, because the lineup was insane. It was like, wow. And that kind of makes sense that if you're going to be doing, they'll usually say for international flight, show up 3 hours early. For domestic flight, maybe two, depending on the airline, 2 hours early, an hour early. Because you think about it, the smaller the airplane you're going on, the less luggage they have to, the baggage handlers, the less they have to put on the airplane. So it doesn't take as long. But if you're doing an international flight, it's a bigger jet, way more people on there, way more time to load the luggage on, and way more time to get it checked and x-rayed and doing everything else with that. So that would make sense that international flights on a bigger airplane, yeah, it's going to take longer. And what if the agent that was at the ticket agent that was there, or whoever's working on the desk, oh, they called in sick today. Well, now you're getting backed up a little bit more. And it really amazes me that how anything really with aviation even functions, because there's so much that can go wrong there. We're just talking about someone calling in sick for to check bags. Well, now you got, that person could have checked 50 bags. Now that's going, or 100 bags, and that's going on to someone else now. And then that backs everything up. And then, so there's that. There's scheduling. There's the crew, whether it's flight attendants, pilots, all this other stuff. There's all that scheduling that has to work out just right. There's all the how's the weather? How's the plane mechanically? How are the facilities at the airport? Is there a runway closed today that they can't use? There's all this stuff that can mess up, and it's amazing that anything works at all for that industry. But we all do our best. So, anyways, if you're showing up early, especially if you're going to be checking your luggage. So here we go. And I don't know, this is kind of common sense stuff, but what the heck? It's all I can kind of think of today. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to put on my pessimist hat here. Plan. Okay, this is what you got to do in aviation all the time, regardless of whether you're flying a little plane, big plane, passenger on a plane. You have to plan for the worst, dun dun dun, but hope for the best. So yeah, it's you got to think of a lot of contingencies, like just being a pilot and you're flying somewhere like myself, or I'm gonna just be doing some little flight somewhere, a little cross country flight for an hour here, an hour there, an hour there, come back. But what can happen? So you're like preparing for the worst or plan for the worst. Okay, if the weather is bad here, we can still turn around and come back home. Or if the weather's bad here, yeah, we'll cut it short and we'll go this way. And then sometimes something's weird and you didn't even plan for it, but you had lots of gas just in case. So now you're not worried about running out of gas. So that would be planning for the worst. What if you can't land on that runway? I've had it before where, oh, well, can't land on the runway. Some airplane landed with a flat tire and they're working on getting a truck to tow it off the runway. Well, okay, do I have the skills to land on the other runway? Is the other runway long enough? So it's like plan for the worst. That goes for crew and passengers too. So you always see, the airplane, it just skidded off the end of the runway when it's really snowy and everything. And it's like, oh, so they deploy those little slides out the side of the airplane. People slide down the slide. They just came back from the Bahamas, and now it's minus 20 degrees in Edmonton. And they just thought they'd wear their flip flops and shorts and be cool. Well, now you're on the runway. It's minus 20 in your flip flops and your shorts. So you might want to plan on what was the worst thing that could happen. I mean, well, we don't want to think about the worst of the worst, but that's a bad thing that could happen. And did you dress properly? No. Okay, bye-bye, toes. See you later, toes. You're getting a little bit of frostbite. We can snap those off, no problem. So actually, that's what they do. I know I worked with a guy. His doctor told him he had diabetes. He's like, we can snap that right off. He was like, you didn't have to tell me that. But anyways, okay. Yeah, so we're planning for the worst there. What else could I tell you here? All right. How about I would just go to number 5. But this is kind of where you can play some mind games with yourself here. So here we go. Number 5 is no matter what. Here we go. We got to keep things positive here on the Super Pilotish channel. I'm happy that I just used up the last of my whiteboard here. Okay, just squished it in. Okay, I just squished it in. Enjoy the trip. No matter what happens on your trip, always just put it in your mind. See if you can spin it in your head and play some kind of mind games with yourself. Like you'd think, oh, I lost my luggage, but you still got your wallet with your credit cards and everything. Hey, it's a good excuse to go shopping. There you go. I needed some new shirts, and guys always need new underwear and socks anyways. So it's like, what the heck? Give you an excuse to go shopping for some stuff. And then you got a story about your socks or your shirt that you bought. I bought this online. It's not too interesting. But if I got stuck at an airport and I bought it, I got ripped off at a gift shop or something like that because I had nothing else to wear. That'd be a cool story. So, And if you're going on vacation or something, it's always going to cost you way more than what you think. And that's another thing about aviation or just anything in life in general. It's kind of like everything always takes longer than you think. It always costs more than you think. So you got to kind of plan that in. And there you go. That's kind of that. Try to think of it as, yeah, just anything bad comes, try to flip it around and say, oh, now I know this. I learned this, and chalk it up to experience. And don't just be all, it's all their fault. It's like, it's not necessarily always, someone that works at the airline, or it's not really their fault. It's their fault. A lot of times, like they want to shoot the messenger. People want to shoot the messenger. Don't. Well, and actually maintain your calm if you do have any problems, because yeah, if you start yelling and screaming, like when it comes to aviation, you will lose. That the pilot can kick you off. Like I know here in Canada, it's the captain of an airplane in Canada. He has the powers of a peace officer. He's basically a cop. So if in the air in control of the plane, the pilot in command of an airplane is a peace officer under the law here in Canada. So if you are going to be disruptive on the plane, well, you punch out the captain. Well, you just punched a cop. So when you land, they get on the radio and they say, "Hey, come on, police! You just assaulted a peace officer." Oh, cops, they kind of react differently when they hear that. So yeah. So I hear. I watch a lot of TV and stuff. But anyways, yeah. So just be positive, be patient, show up. But if you pay attention to my super pilotish 5 things, it won't be as bad for you. So number one, make sure you got enough money. So you don't want to be all stressed out and pinching your pennies on a vacation or anything like that. And yeah, here we go. And that also covers like, oh, I just showed up at my hotel and they said it's overbooked. I've had that happen to me. And it's like, what do I do now? And luckily, I don't know, the travel agent that I went through, because it was this little package thing, that they just moved us to another hotel. But that's why I kind of like travel agents here and there. They can help you out if you get stuck. So that was okay. But if you have enough money, that you can throw it at problems and make those problems go away. Okay, limit your luggage here. So it's just you might not have to show up as early for your flight, and the less you have, the less you have to worry about. So show up early, and because everything always takes longer than you think, and we got to plan for the worst, hope for the best, and enjoy your trip. There we go. 5. I don't know, something, and just be cool about things, man. Just you're on a vacation. Or I was always thinking too, like as long as you're like safe on the ground, maybe it's just a matter of waiting. It's like, oh, I wanted to get there right away. Oh, I have to wait another 2 hours. But what else are you doing? It's not like you're going to work or something. Now, if you're traveling for business or work or something, that could be a little more stressful. But yeah, well, even still, if you're traveling for work and just plan a little extra ahead because everything takes longer than you think. So, okay, enjoy your trip. No one in the chat today. I'm talking to myself in the basement. Who cares? I've done it before. But I managed to get a show in, so that's a win for me, and that makes me happy. Okay, cool. So, yeah, today is Wednesday. I'll be back on Friday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And we'll just kind of shut her down. So, thanks for watching. And for the people in the chat, thanks for nothing. Okay, bye.